71 people died in 7 seconds. Two planes collided at 34,890 feet above Lake Constance. 45 of the dead were children. They were heading to Spain for a school trip. The other plane carried cargo and crew. Both aircraft disintegrated mid-air on July 1, 2002. Body parts rained down on German villages for miles. One man was responsible. His name was Peter Nielsen. He was an air traffic controller working alone that night. But what he did in the minutes before impact was even worse. And what happened to him 2 years later? That's the part nobody saw coming. This isn't just about a plane crash. It's about a broken system, a lone controller, and a father's revenge that shocked the entire world. The audio recordings from that night still make veteran pilots sick. Peter Nielsen was 36 years old. Danish. Experienced. He'd worked air traffic control for years. On the night of July 1, 2002, he was alone. Completely alone at Skyguide's Zurich control center. His colleague had gone on break. The phone system was down for maintenance. Nielsen was managing 2 radar screens. One for high altitude. One for low altitude. He was responsible for the airspace over southern Germany and Switzerland. At the same time, 2 planes were converging. Bashkirian Airlines Flight 2937 was at Tupolev Tu-154. It carried 69 people. Mostly Russian children and teachers. They were flying from Moscow to Barcelona. A reward trip for good grades. The kids were excited. Laughing. Taking photos. They had no idea they had 90 minutes to live. The second plane was DHL Flight 611. A Boeing 757 cargo jet. 2 pilots. No passengers. It was flying from Bergamo, Italy to Brussels. Both planes were at 36,000 feet. On a collision course. Nielsen saw them on his screen. But he was distracted. Dealing with another aircraft. The collision alert system started blinking. A system called STCA. Short-term conflict alert. It gave Nielsen less than 2 minutes. He had to act fast. But here's what nobody knew. The system that night was broken. Nielsen finally noticed the 2 planes. They were 90 seconds from impact. He radioed the Bashkirian flight. Told them to descend. Immediately. The Russian pilots obeyed. They pushed the nose down. Started descending. At the exact same time, something else happened. Inside both cockpits, alarms screamed. TCAS. Traffic Collision Avoidance System. An automated system designed to prevent mid-air collisions. TCAS overrides everything. It tells pilots exactly what to do. The Bashkirian TCAS said, climb. The DHL TCAS said, descend. If both pilots had followed TCAS, they would have missed each other. But Nielsen's voice came through again. He told the Bashkirian crew to descend. Now the Russian pilots had 2 instructions. TCAS saying climb. Air traffic control saying descend. International rules are clear. TCAS always wins. Always. But the Russian pilots trusted the human voice. They continued descending. The DHL crew followed their TCAS. They descended too. Both planes were now diving. Toward each other. 50 seconds to impact. The Russian co-pilot saw something. Lights. Getting closer. Fast. He shouted to the captain. They pulled up hard. Too late. At 21:35 and 32 seconds Universal Time Coordinated, the vertical stabilizer of the DHL Boeing sliced through the Bashkirian Tupolev. The impact was catastrophic. The Tupolev broke into pieces. All 69 people died instantly. The DHL plane's tail was severed. The 2 pilots tried to control it. For 90 seconds, they fought. Then it spiraled into the ground. Everyone dead. Debris scattered across 27 square miles. German villagers heard the explosion. Ran outside. Saw bodies. Saw children. One villager found a teddy bear. Still clutched in a small hand. But the real horror? It was completely preventable. And what investigators found next was even more disturbing. The Swiss investigation revealed a system in total failure. Nielsen wasn't just distracted. He was set up to fail. That night, the phone lines were down. He couldn't call nearby controllers for help. His colleague was on an unauthorized break. Nielsen was alone managing airspace meant for 2 people. The collision warning system had been acknowledged but ignored. Nielsen had turned off the audio alert. Standard procedure to reduce noise. But it meant he missed critical warnings. Then came the biggest failure. The DHL pilots had followed CAS correctly. The Bashkirian pilots hadn't. They trusted Nielsen instead. But here's the thing. Nielsen didn't know the DHL plane was also descending. His radar was delayed by 10 seconds. He was working with old information. Skyguide, the Swiss air navigation company, was responsible. They'd ignored safety recommendations for years. Equipment was outdated. Procedures were inadequate. Staffing was insufficient. The company knew. They did nothing. 8 employees were charged with manslaughter. But here's where it gets darker. In Russia, the families were destroyed. 52 people from the same town. Gone. One man was Vitaly Kaloyev. An architect. His wife, 2 children, and unborn baby were on that flight. He'd been waiting at the Barcelona airport. Saw the news. Collapsed. For 2 years, Kaloyev lived in hell. He demanded accountability. Skyguide offered him $60,000 in compensation. He refused. He wanted someone to say sorry. Nobody did. On February 24, 2004, Kaloyev bought a plane ticket to Switzerland. He found Peter Nielsen's address. Knocked on his door. Nielsen answered. Kaloyev showed him photos of his dead family. Asked for an apology. Nielsen said he was not allowed to comment. Company policy. Kaloyev pulled out a knife. Stabbed Nielsen 17 times. Killed him in front of his wife and children. Then Kaloyev sat down. Waited for police. Didn't run. He was sentenced to 8 years. Served 3. In Russia, he was treated as a hero. Given a government job. Celebrated. The man who got justice when the system wouldn't. This disaster changed everything. CAS is now absolute. Pilots are trained to ignore air traffic control if CAS conflicts. No exceptions. Europe redesigned its entire airspace management system. Skyguide was gutted and rebuilt. But 71 people are still dead. 45 children never made it to Spain. Peter Nielsen died trying to do his job in a system that abandoned him. Vitaly Kaloyev lives in North Ossetia today. He remarried. Had another child. But his first family is gone. The question isn't just who was responsible. It's why systems fail and innocent people pay. If you've stayed this far, hit that button below. We cover one story like this every single week. And here's something most people don't know. There's another mid-air collision. Over the Amazon. Where the survivor was blamed for 154 deaths. But the truth? That one's even darker. Subscribe for a new dark truth every day.